haven't really posted anything on social media because I've been honestly just speechless. I didn't have the words to say what. When I got the news, I had been working in the morning up in the mountains, and I got back in my car and was driving down, and it came up on my phone, and I couldn't even talk. It took me about 30 minutes or so before I could really compose myself, and I still don't have a whole lot to say because we've said so much over the years. We fought this battle for, some gave a whole lot more and were arrested and lost livelihood and things like that. Some of us just prayed. Some of us just went to different things to fight against it. But the emotional battle that you literally, and it's not ended, but this part of it was a huge success. If you've ever carried this, you know what I'm talking about, because there's times when God says, okay, it's your turn. It's your turn to carry this. This is a huge thing, and all these millions and millions of children are being sacrificed, and it's your turn to carry it. And when that burden hits you, you have to go before the throne of God, and you have to beg for the strength to carry on, but also plead for His mercy. Because it's your turn to carry it, and millions of people have been carrying that. And God knows we can't carry that every single day, and so walking around with this oppression of the evil is not what God intended for anyone to have to bear all the time. But when it's your turn, you bear it. And so there are some days, some weeks, where you are overcome with the severity of what this wicked abomination was. And I know many of you guys know what I'm describing. So there's yeah. And I mean, I know hardly anybody's not been touched with it, but for those of you who don't know, our oldest sibling was aborted. And if Roe v. Wade didn't exist, we'd have another sibling. Well, but that process, yeah, exactly. Across the state lines, yeah. And so all that process that led to Roe v. Wade and all that, there would be another sibling. And that leads me to what I was going to say. What I said during worship, we were talking about it some on the river yesterday, that what God has done in history again and again is He has a generation, or He has a child born. And Satan has done terrible things to stop that from happening. He did it and killed so many children when Moses was born. When Jesus was born, He killed a bunch of children again. And in our day, He's been killing and killing because He knows that it's time for the generation, for the children of God to be born. A lot of prophecy in those statements. So if you're interested in study it, or talk to somebody, and we'll talk more about that. But the grace of God that I was talking about during worship, each one of these children, virtually all of them, are being born into situations that are less than optimal and sometimes very, very bad. God creates that life again and again. We know psychologically, we've studied this and read this psychological things, that women who are raped, women who are in terrible circumstances and carry the child to full term, grow into healthier people than the ones who abort. To those of us who know that it's murder and it's a terrible travesty that's being perpetrated, we understand that. But to the world, that's like, well, it's over for that person, but it's not. It creates years and years and very difficult process of overcoming. So this child that enters into the womb and is conceived during these difficult moments and these life circumstances of living in wrong choices, bad choices, and sometimes just straight up criminal evil being perpetrated. Although that is a very small minority, like the left wants us to think, well, abortion exists because of rape. It doesn't. Never has been the driving force behind it. They've just lied and manufactured this idea on people. It's not true. But those babies are intended to be the light of God. They're intended to be grace in people's lives, because I personally know countless stories of people that I know who have gotten pregnant, and even for the men too. It is an opportunity for them to realize the direction their life is going and say, hey, this is not where I want to be. This is not the life I want to have. I'm going to make it important about this child, and it changes the way they think, and they begin to operate and make decisions in a no longer selfish way in caring about someone else, and it changes their life, and they end up embracing this child and giving them a life. That's just the tip of the iceberg of that, but it's that shift, it's that change that takes place. And God did not create these lives haphazardly and make these babies into, just to have a miserable life. Obviously, we know sin is even stronger than that oftentimes, and people do not become less selfish and oftentimes still destroy children's lives. And that's a other discussion, societally speaking, that has to be dealt with. But this is something that God has been birthing, literally, because it's, we have ideas that are conceived in our heads and they turn into something, but this is literally a generation. These are people, and just like Moses survived and just like Jesus survived, people have survived, and God is using and calling forth that generation that was born for the last 50 years. But we are seeing the revolution of that to the fullest extent, and we can now see the grace of God begin to manifest in our society, because we can save the people of this nation, the people they're growing up in selfishness, and parents haven't been caring, and they've been raised by when I was a kid, MTV, but now it's YouTube and everything else. They're raised by all these different things that have given them an ambition and a desire, or a depression, or anxiety. It's given them all this. They can now be set free in greater numbers because of this grace that God has, the life, the humanity that He has created to deal with it. Because that's what He made. When we say, God, please help us, what does He do? He sends a person with a gift and ability. He gives the person a vision of something to do that they can change. We say, God, please, and we want to close our eyes and open and have it changed. But what He does is He sends somebody, maybe sends you. That's what He does. And so that's what these babies are. They are God's answered prayer for society, and He's given us that, and we have that chance for that life to take root that Satan has been trying and desperately trying to eradicate and kill off. And that's what I see prophetically, that's what this moment is a chance for that grace to change and permeate and free our society.